Welcome to Cheap Controls. On this YouTube channel, I make videos on things that I struggled with, hoping to help you so you don't. If you like what you see, consider subscribing. Now in this tutorial I'm going to go over the if-then statements to make this progress bar go all the way to the end and then start going the other way using an if-then statement or if-else statement. Because Nextion is so picky on how you put things together, I kind of wanted to go over this because I had a little bit of trouble when I first got into this. I thought I just didn't understand if-else statements, but it turns out they're just like any other language. It's just that Nextion cares how you type it in and where you put your curly braces. Once again, we're mainly going to be dealing with this timer function. Every time it triggers, we're going to do something. If you look at this progress bar is JO, and it's down here, and what we do is every time the timer hits it, we increment it by 1. We also increment the gauge by 1, and if you remember, the gauge starts at 0, but the progress bar starts at 50. So I'm going to switch the order of these because I want the gauge to increment first. Progress bar only has 50 to go before it's maxed out. So we want it when the gauge hits 50, we want the progress bar to start subtracting. So we're going to put an if statement in here that says if z0.val is less than 50, then we put our curly braces in. Then we want it to increment, but once it hits 50, else we're going to want J0 to subtract instead. Now we're going to go ahead and compile this. You can see we got an error. Now why did we get an error? We got an error because this curly bracket must be below the statements. I'm going to raise this a little bit so it's a little bit more so you can see the whole if-else. So we have an if and then a curly brace, then the line, then another curly brace, the else, then the opening curly brace, the line, and then the closing curly brace. So let's compile this. And you can see that it passes. Now, if you'll notice, this if is on its own line. If I move the else down to its own line, that works also. But if I make this curly brace and put it up here, it fails. The other thing is you can even put another line in between there and compile it, and it will pass. So it's just kind of strange as to where you can put the curly braces and where you can't. I believe if I click off of it, it will readjust to where it should be, where it likes it to be, I guess, not what it should be. And you can see that it puts it on the end of that curly brace. It's just kind of interesting. Now what should happen is the progress bar should increment up, and then when it hits 50, it should go back, or when the gauge hits 50, because that will reach 100. So let's give it a shot and see. And you can see it started to come back down. So it works pretty well. And I can even still stop the timer. Remember in the last lesson we incorporated that. I just left it. You can also put an else if in here. So we could put else if and then give it a condition. Because what we want to do is if it gets back down to 0, then we want it to start going back up. So then we can put an else. We have to put the opening braces down here. Then we'll just put this again. If it's greater than 50, it's going to go down to here. If it's greater than 150, then it will add 1 again. Let's see if this works. Oh, I got an error. Oh, that's supposed to be Z0, not O. Oh, you're also supposed to separate the else and the if. Compile it one more time here. I'm going to go ahead and time-lapse this. And now it's going back up, just like we expected. This was a pretty quick video, but I really just wanted to go over the if and the else if and explain that the syntax and the bracket placement is very important in the if and the else if statements for the Nextion display. Well, that's about it for this video. If you like what you saw, consider giving me a thumbs up, and also consider subscribing to the channel. Thanks for watching.